Once upon a time, in a faraway kingdom by the river, there was a beautiful queen named Amina. Queen Amina was known for her beauty and vanity across the land. She spent all her days admiring herself in the mirror and pampering her body with the finest oils and jewels from across the world. As the years go by, Queen Amina noticed the first wrinkle on her face. She became very upset and called all the wise men, medicine women, and royal advisors to her palace. "I must not lose my beauty," she shouted at them. "Find me a way to remain young and beautiful forever, or you all shall face my wrath and be banished from the kingdom." The wise ones scratched their heads and pondered this difficult request. Many days and nights they study their ancient texts and consult with the spirits of the land and their ancestors. Finally, one old medicine woman named Adama spoke up before the impatient queen. "Your Majesty, after much divination and seeking counsel from the spirit world, there is only one way that we know of for you to achieve eternal youth. You must seek out the mermaid goddess Mami Wata, who live in the deep waters of the great river that flows through our lands." Queen Amina's eyes lit up at this news. She immediately summoned her bravest warriors, strongest servants, and most skilled hunters. "We shall journey to the river and find this Mami Wata, gather supplies for an expedition, for no expense shall be spared. I will do whatever it takes to preserve my beauty and youth for all time." And so the long and arduous journey began. The queen's large caravan traveled for many days and nights, through thick jungles where leopards and deadly snakes lay in wait. They forded raging rivers and scale-towering mountains, where the air was so thin it was difficult to breathe. Along the way, they encounter hostile tribes who try to waylay the expedition with volleys of poisoned arrows and spears. But the warriors were powerful and fight them off, slaying the enemy and allowing the caravan to proceed. After many weeks of travel, the expedition finally reached the banks of the great river that stretched as far as the eye could see. The waters shimmered like liquid silver in the fading light of dusk. Under the light of the full moon, the queen's servants built a great bonfire on the riverbank. Then, as instructed by the wise woman Adama, they began to chant ancient words and beat their drums, calling out to the mermaid goddess Mami Wata. At first, there was no response. The drums beat on, and the chanting grew louder. But still, the waters remained flat and unbroken. After many hours, the queen grew impatient. "Keep beating those drums, you fools," she shouted. "And where is the sacrifice?" On her orders, the hunters bind a young maiden and bring her forth. With an obsidian knife, they slice open the girl's throat, letting her blood pour out onto the riverbank. As soon as the maiden's blood hit the waters of the river, they begin to churn and bubble violently. From out of the depths, a beautiful woman with glowing green eyes and a fishtail the same color as the river's waters emerged. It was Mami Wata herself. "Who dares summon me from my watery domain and offer this meager sacrifice?" Her voice boomed like thunder, shaking the very trees. Queen Amina stepped forward, adorned in her finest silks and jewels that glittered in the firelight like 1,000 stars. "Great Mami Wata, I have come to seek your gift of eternal youth and beauty. For too long have I ruled over these lands, watching as even the mightiest kingdoms crumble to dust while I wither and age. I will give you whatever you desire in exchange for the precious gift of eternal life and perpetual loveliness." Mami Wata's glowing eyes narrowed as she eyed the Divine Queen up and down. A sly, cruel smile spread across her full lips. "You ask for a gift that even the gods themselves do not possess, Queen Amina. Eternal youth and beauty can be achieved, but the price is quite steep. Are you prepared to sacrifice anything to achieve your heart's desire?" "Name your price, mighty Mami Wata," said the queen firmly. "I will give up whatever you demand of me." "Very well," replied the mermaid goddess. "If it is truly eternal beauty you seek, you must sacrifice that which you value most in all the world, your kingdom and everyone who dwell within it. You must condemn your people and all your lands to oblivion so that I may grant you the gift you crave." A hush fell over the crowd of warriors and servants. Queen Amina's breath caught in her throat at these words. To give up her entire kingdom, her power, her wealth, her very people? Could she really do such a thing just to achieve eternal youth and beauty? After a moment's thought, her vanity and lust for pretty immortality win out over any wisdom or compassion she may have had left. "So be it," she said, her voice trembling slightly. I agree to your terms, mighty Mami Wata. I will sacrifice my kingdom, my people, my lands, everything for eternal beauty." Mami Wata let out a wicked laugh that sent chills down the spines of all who hear it. With a wave of her hand, the mermaid goddess summoned a large conch seashell goblet filled with a shimmering silvery liquid. "Drink this elixir, and you shall have the eternal youth and beauty you crave," Mami Wata instructed in a haunting melodic voice. "But know this, the moment your lips touch the goblet, your entire kingdom and everyone in it shall be pulled into the depths of the river, vanishing forever from the face of this earth." The warriors and servants gasped in horror at these words, but Queen Amina's mind was made up. Without hesitation, she reached out with her bejeweled hands and took the conch shell goblet from Mami Wata. She brought it to her ruby-red lips and drank deeply, draining every last drop of the shimmering elixir. At first, nothing seemed to happen, but then, the ground beneath their feet began to shake violently, as if the earth itself was trembling with fear. Terrible groaning and cracking sounds filled the air all around them, as the very soil underfoot split open with tremendous fissures and chasms. To the horror of the queen and her followers, the entire kingdom, with all its villages, farms, towns and cities, began to sink down into the gaping maws of the ever-growing chasms, as if being slowly devoured by the hangry earth itself. The people of the kingdom screamed in abject terror as their homes, businesses, and all they had ever known disappeared forever into the abyss beneath them. Within moments, the once mighty and prosperous lands of Queen Amina were utterly gone, swallowed up without a trace by the restless, shifting earth. Only the small strip of land on the riverbank where the queen and her servants stood remained above the destruction. Mami Wata cackled wickedly, her glowing eyes shining with delight at the utter devastation she had wrought. But then, the vain Queen Amina felt a strange, warm tingling sensation spread across her entire body. She looked down at her hands and gasped in utter delight, for there in the glow of the firelight, her wrinkles and age spots were rapidly vanishing. Her skin became soft, flawless and glowing like that of a newborn babe. Amina's eyes grew wide as her face returned to the smooth porcelain beauty of her teenage years. She ran trembling fingers along her jawline and over her high cheekbones, and was delirious with joy at the firmness and perfection of her newly youthful features. You have kept your end of the bargain," Queen Amina stammered in awed tones, still admiring her newly rejuvenated appearance. "Indeed I have," replied Mami Wata, a wicked grin playing across her full lips. "And now you shall remain forever young and beautiful, frozen in eternal loveliness and perpetual desire for all eternity, even unto the end of time itself." With that, the mermaid goddess threw back her head and laughed a truly horrific, bone-chilling cackle. Her form then dissolved into countless droplets of shimmering water that fell back beneath the surface of the great river in a shower of silver. Within moments, it was as if she had never been there at all. Left alone on the riverbank were only the once vain Queen Amina and her few remaining warriors and servants, all utterly dumbstruck by the horror and devastation they had just witnessed. One by one, the warriors and servants tore their eyes from the ruined, sunken lands and turned their gaze towards their former queen. There she stood, utterly alone and forgotten by all but them, yet more youthfully beautiful and radiant than any living being had ever beheld. "My queen," one brave warrior finally managed to choke out, his voice trembling and barely above a whisper. What have you done? At what cost have you purchased this eternal beauty?" Tears welled up in Amina's newly rejuvenated eyes as she slowly turned to face the handful of survivors. A look of pure despair and regret etched itself across her features as she opened her mouth to speak. I have doomed us all to a living oblivion," she whispered, her voice breaking. "In my vanity, I have sacrificed everything. My people, my lands, my entire kingdom. Everything I once held dear simply to keep this false beauty for all time." Amina trembled as sobs racked her body, though no tears fell from her newly ageless eyes. She knew there could be no penance or forgiveness for the terrible things she had just done. She had quite literally bargained away her entire world just to achieve her own selfish desires. "There is nothing left for any of us now," she uttered in despair. "No kingdom to rule, no people to lead, no purpose or reason. We are all doomed to wander this desolate earth alone and forgotten for all eternity. As the ancient adage goes, one must be cautious what they wish for even if it is granted, the price of dealing with the trickster gods like Mami Wata can be too high to bear." And so the former Queen Amina's tragic story began anew on that dark night. No longer a vain and greedy monarch, but a solitary, guilt-stricken wraith, cursed with eternal life and perpetual beauty. Never aging, never dying, forever wandering alone in search of some purpose or oblivion beyond the cursed immortality she had brought upon herself. For the centuries and ages that followed, tales would be told around tribal fires of a beautiful, youthful woman encountered every few generations onto lonely roads and forests, always alone, always despairing, destined to walk the earth until time itself ceased to be. Some say the former Queen Amina still walks among us, eternally young yet weary beyond mortal measure. Perhaps she seeks some way to undo her tragic vain bargain with the fickle mermaid goddess all those long ages ago. Or perhaps she simply wishes to find some sweet solace in oblivion's final, lasting embrace. Forever regretting, forever atoning for her one great folly. Eternal beauty may have been her heart's desire, but for Queen Amina, it became her ultimate downfall. Such is the price for dealing with the trickster gods who care not for mortal wants or wisdom, for they always extract a terrible cost and cruel jest for granting our deepest wishes. That's it for this video, folks. Be sure to subscribe to our channel Folktales for more stories like this one. Leave a comment letting us know what stories you'd like to see come to life. Don't forget to like and subscribe for new African tales and fables every week.